Hi all, in this video we're going to be looking at the Technical Graphics Ordinary Level 2017 question 3. This is the development question, and this here, as you can see, it was of the bicycle shelter. So let's get started. So you can see here from the question, our first thing to do is part A, which is to draw an elevation in arrow A, and then part B, draw an end view in the direction of arrow B. Now we can see from the question that arrow B is to the left hand side of arrow A. So if arrow B is looking in here from the left, okay, from our elevation, we know the end view from our orthographic is going to go onto the right hand side. So with that in mind, we have to draw the elevation over here to the left, our end view to the right. So we're going to get started with that. So we're going to set up the elevation then towards the top left. We're going to draw a light line across, and we're going to just pick an edge here. So if we look closely at the question now, from looking in from arrow A, we can see the overall width from left to right very clearly is 100. So I'm going to mark off my width then at 100. And again, we're going to draw a light line all the way down. Okay. If we look at our question again, we want to try and work out the height. Well, we see at the back left, we can see a height of 50. And then also we've got the radius for our curved roof, which is radius 30. So that gives me an overall height of 80. So I'm going to mark off the height then up here at 80. So that's the total height of this piece. And again, I'm going to draw a light line all the way across. Why am I doing that? Whatever height it is in elevation, it's the same height in our end view. You should remember that from our orthographic. So then there we have the space for our elevation. Okay, we've got the overall width and the overall height put in. So my next job is to mark off the end view. So we're going to do that here. We're going to leave again a 20 or 30 mil space between the elevation and the end view, the same as we would the elevation and the plan. And our next job to do is to put in our depth from the very back to the very front of this piece. If we look here again at the question, you will notice we've got the depth measurements along the bottom. We have a 15, a 15 and a 30, and that adds all up to 60, which corresponds to the radius of 30 at the top there. So we're going to just mark off that. So I'm going to measure over 60 and again draw a light line down. Once you've that done, that is your end view. So we've now our space for our end view set up here. Once you've that done, what we now need to do is mark off the different measurements in our elevation and our end view to get this drawn. So again, if we look here at the question, we have no width measurements, but we have one height measurement, which is up 50. So I'm going to mark off that. Okay, so there's my height at 50. And I'm drawing that all the way across. Why? Because again, whatever height it is in elevation, it's the same height in our end view. When you've that done, we've got all our information to draw our elevation. So we can see the overall height of our piece in elevation. It is 80 high. We can see the overall width, which is 100 wide. We know when we look in at arrow A, we're going to see the base of this piece, okay? And we're going to see the very top. What else are we going to see? Well, when we look straight in, we've got this height here at 50. Can we see that? Well, that is going to be the edge going from the back to the very front. What else can we see? Well, we've got a front edge here, but we can't just see that just yet. So what we now need to do is we need to draw the end view. To do the end view then, what we need to do is the first job is we need to mark off the depth measurement. So if we look here at our question, we can see we've got 3 different depth measurements. We have a 15, a 15 and a 30. And if we look closely, the 15s are starting at the back edge. So just remember here when we look at our question, we're looking in at the elevation from the left. So this side is the back edge. So just to mark off those, we've got a 15, a 15, and we're left with the 30. So I'm going to draw those lines straight up. Okay, we may or may not need them, but we'll draw them up. So the next job for us to do is to mark off the different parts. So we can see along the back edge at the bottom, we are over 15. At the left, we can go up our measurement here of 50. We have an angle line here then that goes from the 15 all the way up to the center of the arc, which is a radius 30. So I'm going to mark off that angle line here then. We've got the semicircle at the top, which is radius 30. So I'm going to mark off that. We've already got the center. Open it up to the 30, and I'm drawing around my arc all the way around then. Okay, where does it stop? Well, we can see we've an angle edge here of 45 degrees. So I'm going to just mark that off here then at 45 degrees. And that is giving me this back edge here. So now we've got this all drawn. We can go ahead then and go back and draw in our elevation. So we can see here that we're missing this point up here. If we call this point, let's call it point 3, because we're going to call this one 2 and this one down here 1. So we know when we're looking in here, we're going to see this front edge here. Okay, so this is going to have to come across. So I'm going to draw that lightly across, because why? Whatever height it is in our end view, it's the same height in our elevation. So we can see that front edge just here. Okay. When we look in again from here, we're also going to have this edge here as a heavy edge. Okay. So why is that? Because when we look in, we can show that there's something going on between this surface and this surface. So it's going from here, and something else happens, and we can see from here it's going from a straight edge to a curved edge. So we have to show and indicate to people that there is something going on between those. Is it an angle? Is it something that's further back or further forward? Or in this case, it's a curved edge. At that stage then, folks, we've got our elevation and end view fully complete, and our next job is to move on to the development. So to do the development then, we are going to start at the bottom, okay, and I'm going to pick an edge to draw this up. Okay, now if we look closely, we've in our end view have got the shape we want to develop out. Remember, looking at our question again, we've got no base and the front of this bike shelter is open, so we've just got the back and the curved roof. Now in our elevation, we've got the width of this bike shelter, which is 100 wide, okay, and again we've got our shape here in end view. This is very similar. If we look at this toilet roll here, we've got the width here when we look in at our elevation, and on our end view we've got the shape itself. What we're going to end up doing is doing what we call a ribbon development. So if I took this and I started off here maybe at point 3, and all I wanted to do was unravel this and all the way around until we got to the bottom edge here at 1 maybe, well, we can see that we've just got a ribbon. So the ribbon is the same width here as it is in my elevation. So all I'm going to be doing is unraveling this all the way down, and what am I going to do? I have the two sides, and we're going to just flop those out. Okay, so it's very similar to what we would have done in the past. The only difference here is that our elevation gives us the width, our end view is actually giving us the part with the information on it. So I'm going to start down at the bottom, go from 1 to 2. I've got my curve all the way around to 3. Remember, there's no base and the front is open. So I set up this development here, and I'm going to call this point, the very bottom point here, point 1. Okay, so what do I need to do? I need to step up the different heights. Well, again, like we would have always done, I'm going to take these using my compass. So I'm going to put the point of my compass down on 1, and I'm opening it up to point 2. That's the first surface we have to look at. So I'm going to take that, and again, I'm going to keep my compass the same width. I'm not changing that, and I'm going to take my point of my compass and put it back down at 1. So I've taken it, put point of my compass at 1 here. I have the point of my compass at 1 here, and I'm putting off a little mark there. What is that mark? That mark is point 2. Okay, we now want to go from 2 to 3, but again, if we take our toilet roll again, I could take the distance from 2 to 3, but is that going to be accurate? Well, not really, because we've got a far bigger distance. If we were to look at this and I was to say, right, well, here is the start of this, and if we were to look around, let's say here's well, let's go halfway. So here's where it's going to end. Well, what's the distance between those? Well, if we look closely, the distance there is about 10 centimeters. But when I, in actual fact, unravel all this, okay, to here, what is the overall length of that? Well, again, if we measure that, it is nearly 16 centimeters, okay? So it's about 15.5 centimeters. So we can see there that it's an awful lot bigger than when we measure the side of it here. So what's that telling us? Well, that's telling us the circumference is a lot bigger. We can't just take the distance here. So in our question, what we need to do is we need to try and divide up this arc into a few more spaces so we get a more accurate development. So to do that, like in other questions, we're going to use our 30-60 degree set square. We're going to split this up into 30-60 degrees, okay? Now we're going to work all our way around, going from the center to the outside. And last but not least, we've got this edge just here. Okay, and we're going to call these. So if I call this point A, B, C, D, and we're going to go back into 3. So just like we did to 1 to 2, we stepped 1 to 2 here. My next job is to go from 2 to A. Okay, so I open up my compass to A. Point was at 2, so point goes back to 2 down here. And I mark off my next point, which again we had as point A. I'm going to go from A to B. Okay, open up my compass and I'm marking off A to B here. Okay. And now I'm going from B to C. What did you notice? I haven't changed my compass. Why? Because all of these are the exact same length of these arcs. Why is that? Because they're all 30 degrees. Okay? So that's why we're using these at 30 degrees. All of these are the same. So I go from 2 to A to B, B to C, and C to D. So that's why we're using the 30 degrees, because it's a lot quicker, a lot more straightforward. Don't forget though, we have to go from D there to 3. So I'm going to just put my my compass down on D, open up to point 3. Okay, and we're stepping that one off just here. Why is that one smaller and different? Because remember, we came up here in this black edge to 3 at a 45 degree angle. So it's slightly less. So there's point 3. Now I've all of these points put up, I need to mark off my width of this piece. So how far over is this? Well, we can see the ribbon here is 100. So I'm going to mark off 100 here. And I'm drawing a light line all the way up, because this is the width of my ribbon. This is how everything's flowing up. So we're going to mark off some of these points. So from 1, it goes all the way across as a heavy edge. 1 to 1. 2 has to go all the way over to 2. What happens there? It's a dotted line. Why is that? Because we're going from a straight edge all the way to a flat or to a curved surface. Do I need any fold lines here on any of these points? No, because we're not really folding it, we're just bending it around. So I'm going then from all the way up to point 3, and that's a heavy edge again here. Why is that? Because that's where the ribbon ends. That's where it all finishes. Once you've that done, our next job then to do is to mark off our sides. So again, I have a heavy edge all the way around the curved surface at the top, both of those. But again, if we look here, we've got our back, and I haven't any lines put there just yet. Why is that? Well, that's because we've got our the two sides here to be connected. Okay, so just again like here, we have to fold this along. So I'm going to have a dotted edge here to show that we have to fold these at this point. So do that to the left, and then we do it to the right. Now once we've that done, you can see the shape of this taking shape. We've got the back here, we've got the top, which is our curved surface, and now we need to put on the two sides. We've the left and the right. Now remember, we looked in here and we saw this end view, and this end view is basically the exact same as our right hand side here. So we're going to start with that one. So how did we draw that? Well, we put in our different widths. We came over 15, 15, and 30. Okay, so we're going to draw those Just draw a baseline lightly all the way over, and we're going to draw these all the way up. Okay. What did we do then? Well, we put in our height, which we had was 50 and 30. I already have the 50 because it's the same as my 1 to 2 here. Just mark off the 2 point just there as well. What do we do then? Well, we came across the bottom then at 15. We came up our angle line from the right hand side of the 15 to the center of our arc. So we're going to put that in. And what did we do then? We drew our curve around the top. So point of the compass at the center here. And we're drawing it open up to our radius 30, which is our 0.2. And I'm drawing a curve lightly all the way around. Why am I not drawing it fully? Because we know we have to come off here at 45 degrees. So I'm going to just come off there at my 45 degree line. When I've that done, again, that is our end view nearly done. I'm just going to tidy up this curve here by drawing that in heavy, just to show that it does start and stop and it's in between those. So that there is the side, and that is the side on the right hand side. I have to draw the side on the left, which again is just a mirror image of this. Okay, so this is the only hard thing. We have to just remember that as these open up, they have to match the same. So this angle part, these angle parts here have to be, when we fold them up, have to come to the front here. Okay, so just try and use your hands to try and figure out where they're going to go. So I came 15 and 15 away from my edge 1, 2. So I'm going to do the exact same thing on this side. So there's 15, 15 and my 30. I'm drawing my light line all the way up again like I had. What did we do then? Okay, we took our height, which we have. What did we do then? We came across the bottom. Okay, 15. We came up at our angle line to the center of our arc, which we've now done. What did we do then? We drew in our radius of 15. We put the points that comes down in our center, and we drew in that arc all the way around there lightly. When we had that done, what did we do next? We came off at our 45 degrees. Remember, this is always pointing out to the outside. So we do that. And when we do that, what are we going to do then? We go back and we tidy up that arc here. Okay, make sure it's a nice heavy arc all the way along here. Once you've that done, that there is my side on the left fully complete. And just so that we can see that this arc's here, this is 0.3 as it is over here. So it's just so that we can see that this arc, this part here, okay, from 3 up at the top, from 2 to 3 here, is the exact same distance as this red arc just here. Okay, so just maybe to highlight that even clearer for you, we're going to put a bit of color on it. So this curve right here, all the way around here, okay, is the exact same distance, and it's going to match up with this point right up here, this edge right here. So there are the same distances, the same lengths. So that then is the Technical Graphics Ordinary Level 2017 question 3, our development question of the bicycle shelter. Hopefully this video helps you with your homework and your revision of this topic. Good luck.